The exact moment a man decides you're the one rarely looks dramatic. There's no grand speech or sudden declaration. It begins quietly when he realizes something important while doing something ordinary. He notices that with you, he doesn't feel the need to perform, impress, or escape. He feels understood, respected, and emotionally steady. That moment happens when he sees that your happiness doesn't depend on his behavior, yet your connection deepens when he shows up well. You communicate clearly, you hold boundaries calmly, and you don't chase reassurance. This creates safety, and safety is what allows love to mature into commitment. He chooses you when being with you feels like home, not a test he's trying to pass. Not because you convinced him, but because alignment became undeniable. That is the moment you stop being an option and become a decision. Commitment is not born from pressure, perfection, or fear of losing someone. It is born from emotional safety. This is one of the most misunderstood truths in modern relationships. Many people believe that if they do everything right, say the perfect things, look flawless, never disagree, always be available, it will push someone toward commitment. In reality, that approach often does the opposite. It creates tension, performance, and anxiety. Emotional safety, on the other hand, creates space, and space is where real decisions are made. Emotional safety means a man feels he can be fully himself around you without being judged, corrected, or tested. He doesn't feel like every conversation is an evaluation of whether he is enough. He feels respected even when he makes mistakes, heard even when he struggles to articulate his feelings, and accepted without needing to prove his worth. This does not mean tolerating bad behavior or lowering standards. It means responding with maturity rather than control. Safety comes from calm confidence, not silence or self-sacrifice. Pressure often shows up as urgency. Subtle timelines, repeated questions about the future, emotional reactions when reassurance isn't given immediately. Even when these behaviors come from a desire for closeness, they signal insecurity rather than stability. A man may care deeply and still pull back if he feels that commitment is being demanded instead of discovered. When someone senses that love is conditional on their performance, they protect themselves by creating distance. Perfection is equally misleading. Trying to be the ideal partner can make a relationship feel unnatural. When someone feels they are dating a version of you rather than the real you, trust weakens. Emotional safety grows when authenticity is present. When you can express needs without drama, disagree without fear, and stay grounded even during uncertainty. That emotional steadiness tells him that life with you would feel balanced, not overwhelming. The moment commitment begins is often when he realizes he feels calm with you. Not excited chaos, not emotional highs and lows, but a grounded sense of peace. He notices that conflicts don't threaten the connection, that conversations lead to understanding instead of escalation, and that being with you feels supportive rather than draining. This is when he subconsciously starts imagining a future, not because he was pushed there, but because it feels natural. When emotional safety exists, a man doesn't commit to avoid losing you. He commits because staying feels right. And that is the strongest, most lasting kind of decision. Many people believe that commitment happens in a rush of emotion, sparked by intense chemistry, constant communication, or dramatic moments. While attraction and passion may start a connection, they are not what sustain a decision. A man decides someone is the one when consistency meets clarity. Not when things feel exciting, but when they feel reliable and aligned. Consistency means behavior matches words over time. It's showing up in small, unglamorous ways, returning calls when promised, following through on plans, being emotionally present, not just on good days, but also during stress or uncertainty. Consistency builds trust because it removes guesswork. When someone knows what to expect from you emotionally, their nervous system relaxes. They stop questioning where they stand, and that emotional steadiness creates space for deeper attachment to grow. Clarity, on the other hand, is about knowing who you are and what you want without needing to force it onto someone else. It's being able to express your values, boundaries, and intentions calmly and directly. Clarity does not demand immediate agreement, it simply reveals the truth. When a man senses that you are clear about yourself, he feels less pressure to read between the lines or manage emotional uncertainty. He knows where you stand, and that clarity feels grounding. Intensity without consistency feels unstable. Passion that fluctuates, affection that comes and goes, or emotional closeness followed by withdrawal creates confusion. Even strong attraction can lose its power when it's unpredictable. A man may feel drawn in, but he won't feel safe enough to commit. Confusion keeps relationships in motion, but clarity allows them to settle. Likewise, consistency without clarity can lead to stagnation. Being present, caring, and available means little if there is no sense of direction. When a man cannot understand what the connection is building toward, he may stay comfortable but emotionally non-committal. Clarity turns consistency into purpose. It answers the unspoken question of, where is this going, without ultimatums or pressure? The exact moment a decision forms is often quiet. It's when he notices that nothing feels forced. He sees that you are steady in who you are, whether he's having a great week or a difficult one. He feels that your presence adds order, not chaos, to his life. Over time, he realizes that this balance of reliability and direction is rare. Commitment doesn't come from intensity that burns fast. It comes from consistency that endures and clarity that guides. When both are present, the decision to choose you stops feeling risky and starts feeling obvious. Self-respect and boundaries are often misunderstood as walls that push people away, when in reality they are what allow the right people to come closer. A man does not decide someone is the one because she is endlessly accommodating or always available. He decides it when he sees that she values herself and expects to be valued in return. That mutual respect is what turns attraction into something sustainable. Self-respect shows up in the way you respond, not react. It's the ability to stay grounded when plans change, when communication is unclear, or when expectations are not immediately met. Instead of chasing explanations or overextending to keep someone interested, you pause, observe, and choose your next step with intention. This calm discernment communicates confidence. It signals that your life is full, your standards are intact, and your emotional world is stable. Boundaries are not ultimatums or emotional withdrawals. They are quiet lines that define what you accept and what you don't. When you express a boundary clearly and calmly, you teach someone how to treat you. For example, addressing inconsistency instead of ignoring it, or stepping back when effort is not being reciprocated. This does not create distance, it creates clarity. A man who is capable of commitment respects clarity because it removes confusion and power struggles. Without boundaries, attraction can actually weaken. When someone senses that you will tolerate behavior that doesn't align with your needs, they may feel temporarily desired, but they won't feel challenged to rise. Deep attraction grows when there is mutual effort and accountability. Boundaries invite that effort. They signal that being in your life is a privilege, not something taken for granted. Self-respect also means not abandoning yourself to secure someone else's interest. You don't shrink your opinions, delay your needs indefinitely, or stay silent to avoid discomfort. When a man sees that you honor your own values, he begins to trust your presence. He knows that your yes is meaningful because you are also capable of saying no. That balance creates emotional weight and authenticity. The moment he begins to see you as the one often comes when he realizes that being with you makes him better, not because you demand it, but because your standards naturally inspire growth. He feels respected, not controlled. He feels chosen, not responsible for your happiness. Self-respect and boundaries don't push commitment away. They quietly pull it closer by creating a relationship built on equality and genuine desire. Emotional availability does not grow when someone tries harder to be chosen. It grows when a woman chooses herself first. This is one of the most powerful and least understood dynamics in attraction and commitment. When your sense of worth, direction, and fulfillment comes from within, the relationship becomes a complement to your life rather than the center of it. That shift changes how a man experiences you emotionally. Choosing yourself means you don't abandon your routine, values, or emotional balance in pursuit of someone else's approval. You don't overinvest early, over-explain your feelings, or overextend your energy to keep a connection alive. Instead, you show interest without attachment to outcome. This creates a grounded presence that feels calm rather than needy. And calm is what allows emotional availability to emerge. When approval is the goal, pressure enters the relationship. A man may feel responsible for your mood, your security, or your sense of direction. Even if he cares, that responsibility can feel heavy. Emotional openness shuts down under pressure because it feels risky. No one opens up fully when they fear being needed, rather than chosen. By choosing yourself, you remove that pressure. You signal that you are already whole. Your happiness is not dependent on his texts, his decisions, or his timing. This doesn't make you distant or cold, it makes you emotionally self-sufficient. Ironically, this is what invites deeper investment. When a man feels that being with you is a choice rather than an obligation, he relaxes. And relaxation is the gateway to emotional availability. A woman who chooses herself also listens to information rather than trying to change it. If someone is inconsistent, unclear, or emotionally unavailable, she doesn't argue with reality. She adjusts her involvement accordingly. This discernment communicates strength and emotional intelligence. It shows that you trust yourself enough to walk away from what doesn't align, rather than clinging to potential. The moment a man begins to open emotionally is often when he realizes that you are not waiting to be saved, validated, or completed. You are inviting him into an already full life. That invitation feels safe because it is free of expectation. He can step closer without fear of losing himself. Emotional availability grows where freedom exists. When you choose yourself first, you create that freedom. And in that space, a man doesn't feel pressured to open his heart. He wants to. The moment a man decides you are the one is rarely loud, dramatic, or driven by panic. It is not usually triggered by jealousy, ultimatums, or the fear of losing you to someone else. In fact, when fear is the primary motivator, decisions tend to be reactive and temporary. The real decision happens internally, quietly, and often without immediate words. It is a shift in how he sees you and how he sees the future. This moment is based on alignment. Alignment in values, emotional rhythm, communication style, and vision for life. He begins to notice that conversations flow with less effort, disagreements resolve without damaging the connection, and time together feels natural rather than draining. There is a sense that you are moving in the same direction, even if the details are still unfolding. That shared direction creates emotional certainty. Unlike fear-based decisions, which feel rushed and tense, alignment-based decisions feel calm. He doesn't feel like he's choosing you to avoid regret or loneliness. He feels like he's choosing you because life makes more sense with you in it. This calmness is important because long-term commitment is not sustained by adrenaline. It's sustained by emotional peace. This internal decision often shows up before it is spoken. You may notice subtle changes, greater consistency, deeper consideration of your needs, inclusion in future-oriented conversations, and anatta. Increase in emotional openness. These behaviors are not performative. They emerge because his nervous system feels settled in the connection. He is no longer weighing options. He is building orientation around you. Fear of loss can create temporary closeness, but it also creates resistance. When someone feels pushed by fear, they may comply outwardly while pulling away emotionally. Alignment removes that resistance. It allows commitment to grow organically because it feels like an expression of truth rather than a response to pressure. The reason this moment is quiet is because it is not about proving anything. It is about recognition. Recognition that you are not just someone he desires, but someone he trusts. Not just someone who excites him, but someone who stabilizes him. When that realization settles in, the decision doesn't feel risky. It feels obvious. That is the exact moment you stop being a question in his mind and become the answer. When you understand what truly leads a man to decide you are the one, everything changes. Commitment is not something you force, chase, or earn through effort alone. It grows naturally when emotional safety, consistency, clarity, self-respect, and alignment come together. The decision is not sparked by fear or pressure, but by peace and recognition. The most powerful thing you can do is become anchored in who you are. When you communicate clearly, honor your boundaries, and choose yourself, you create a relationship dynamic that feels stable, authentic, and deeply attractive. In that space, a man doesn't feel pushed toward commitment. He feels pulled by truth. And when that moment arrives, it won't need convincing or dramatic proof. You'll feel it in the calm, in the consistency, and in the certainty. Because real commitment isn't loud, it's steady, it's intentional, and it's chosen.